Sometimes the best laid plans of both mice and men really suck. I wanted to have a main shaft that looked like this, so I could use this flywheel that has a 3/8 inch bore and still use the 0.1875 inch main bearing Tubal Cain uses. So I turned the main bearing, it's just fine. And I thought I'd turn a piece of 3/8 inch drill rod down to fit this main bearing. Well, I missed it. I mean, this is too sloppy. So that's not a good idea. I'm just not going to do that. What I'm going to do is take this piece of 0.1875 hardware store rod, and it's almost right on the money. I'll spin this baby up and sand that down a little bit, see if I can take 1/1000th off or 1/2 off to fit this main bearing. I'm using 220 grit wet and dry. We'll see if I'm even getting close. Okay, that end won't fit. That end won't. This end's got a little burr on it. Need to take that off. Let's see where we are on the old micrometer. Okay, we're at 0.1876, so it's still a little large. This is pretty close to right on the money. A 0.187 plus plug gauge will just fit in here. So I'll do a little more sandpaper work off camera. I took it down with this 220 grit sandpaper from 1875 to 1872. Let's see what we have. That's a great fit. All the way down to here where it starts to get a little tight, but I don't need that long a main shaft anyway, I don't think. No. So there's the main shaft. Now you ask, well, how am I going to put this 3/8 inch flywheel on there? I'm going to build make some kind of sleeve to go over 1 inch of this. I'll take some drill rod, bore it out 1872 or whatever fits. Some 0.375 drill rod that'll fit this hole. Bore it out to 0.187 something that'll fit nice and snug over this, and then I'll slit it halfway, and such that when I tighten this set screw up right here, right there, it will clamp the sleeve down on that piece of drill rod. I think that'll work. We'll find out. I want to clean the surface of this flywheel up. I want to take just enough off so that it's clean. It's rotating pretty good. I've already taken one pass. That took the high spots off. Now I'm going to take maybe 5 thousandths, 2, 4, 5, and we'll see if that's enough. It's cast iron, that's why I got the rag down there. Keep the little cast iron chips from getting in places I don't want them to. So here we go. No lubrication on cast iron. I'm turning it very slow. Well, no, excuse me, I'm turning, the feed is slow. I'm turning it at about 267 SFM, if I remember right, which is a little fast according to the charts for cast iron, by about 17 SFM. However, my next speed on the mill, the next speed on the lathe is 115 RPM, and this is 300 RPM, so that would cut the SFM by more than half and put it a little too slow, I think. I'm thinking everything's fine at 267. Still just hitting high spots here, so I'll take another 5 thousandths pass after this one completes. I've got it mounted on its what will become its 3/8 inch sleeve. It's a piece of, it's not drill rod like I said previously, no use to use a piece of drill rod for this purpose. This is a piece of hardware store steel. So it's starting to look pretty good. You can see where I need to go down here, down there. So I'm hitting them, I guess I'm hitting a little over half of it. So we'll take another 5 thousandths and see how that works out. The main reason I'm taking such light cuts is because of the Mickey Mouse way I'm holding it. This is a 3.5 inch diameter flywheel on a 3 inch or 3/8 inch axle. And I'm holding it with something like a 632 set screw. So I'm taking light cuts because it's pretty Mickey Mouse setup. This is the third pass. It looks like it's almost cutting all the way around. We'll find out. I'll stop it and we'll look at it again after it completes this pass. True it up on the sides because it has pits in it from the casting. I suppose there's an official name for those, but I don't cast anything, so I don't know. Pits is what I call them. I don't see any on the set screw side, but I know there's some on a few on the other side. Doesn't hurt it any cosmetically for what I'm going to use it for. Alright, let's see. Okay, from here to here, so about a third of the way. We need to take off another 5 thousandths. I'll do that off camera, then bring you back. What did I guess wrong on this baby? And I've taken 60 thousandths off, and it looks like I've got 7.5 or 8 thousandths to go. So I'll take that. I'd say that's a lot better. Thousandths, possibly a little less. The new plan to make that flywheel that has a 3/8 inch bore fit on the 3/16 inch shaft is to create a 3/8 inch sleeve for it. I'm going to use hardware store steel. And first I'm going to center drill it and then drill it 1/8 of an inch, and then step drill it, I forgot what it is, just under 3/16. It's 11/64, and then ream it 3/16. Got this baby cranked up to 2,000 RPM to center drill this 3/8 inch piece of steel. Looks good. Next is to step drill it. What is the step drill size? What did I say a while ago? You remember? And I'm just going to step drill it 1/8 of an inch. I'm going to do it 1 inch deep, of course, a little over 1 inch deep. So when I eventually cut the .3/8 inch rod off, when I separate it from the stock, I'll have 1 inch deep hole in this thing. We get chips on both sides, that's good. At 2,000 RPM, this is turning about 95 or 99 FFM, I think. With this size drill bit. All right, I've drilled it 1/8. But how deep is it? I never kept track on the spindle on the tailstock. It's 1 and a little less than 1/8, 1 and 10/64. So that's plenty. That's exactly what I wanted. Now we're going to go to the 11/64 inch bit. Here we go with the 11/64 inch bit. I decided to use a longer a bit with more flutes, longer flutes. Clearing those flutes out is vital to keep from snapping a bit off. I felt the flutes fill up right before I reached the mark I made on there previously. I can see the mark, you probably can. Okay, there we are. We're going to ream it next. Ream slower than you drill. That's what I've always heard. So I've slowed the spindle down to 1255 RPM, which is 65 SFM for the ream job. I'm going to do peck reaming. I've never done that before. I don't know if it's good or bad, but I do know that to get a good finish, I need to keep the chips cleared out. So we'll see if this winds up being a good finish. And if it does, we both learned something. It looks like it's shoving the chips out. Too late to stop now. We're on our way. That's death right there. So did we get a good finish or not? Looks fine. I've just finished reaming it 1875, 0.1875, and I've got this less than 0.1875 piece of steel for a main shaft. It's I can't remember what it is. It's 1852 or something. Let's see what kind of fit we get. I like that. Now what we're going to do is pull this out. It's kind of long for a sleeve, isn't it? And I'm going to mount it in the mill vise and split it on one side, the full 1/8 length. I'll use a slitting saw to do that if I've got one that's thin enough. If I don't have one that's thin enough, then I'll come up with some other means to secure this to the 1875 inch, 0.1875 inch shaft. Could make this a little longer than an inch, and it's already reamed longer than an inch. Put a set screw in it, I suppose. But we'll figure that out later. This end of this 3/8" rod is going to be the sleeve that fits inside the flywheel and into which the main shaft inserts. It's about 1/8 of an inch, 1 1/8 inches long, and my plan is to slit it along one side through into the hole there with this slitting saw mounted on this arbor. Saw goes right in there like that, and that'll give me a way to use the set screw on the flywheel to compress the sleeve down on the main shaft. So stick this parallel down in there, and then I'll have to play with the setup because I don't quite know how close I'm going to come to the vise yet with the slitting saw. So I'll play with it a bit, figure it out. All right. I believe the saw will do everything I want it to do, getting no closer to the vise than that. Now I've got to figure out how far to lower the blade to cut this workpiece, cut a slit down the middle, along the middle here. So the blade is 0.028 inches thick. I want to go down half of 3/8, which is you figure it for yourself, which is 3/16. 0.375 divided by 2. I want to go down 1875 plus half of 28 thousandths. So I'm going to go down 1875 plus 14 thousandths, which is I'm going to go down 0.2015. 0.2015. I like to write these numbers down so I can remember them and refer to them. So what I'll do is come out here till I'm just till the cutter, the cutter edge, not the inside of the not within the circumference of the cutter, but just the cutter itself is touching the workpiece. Then I'll set my DRO, and then I'll be able to come down my 0.2015. .201. If I lock it, it'll probably be 5. 2015. All right, that looks good. All right, here we go. Back out and see what it's doing. Sounds like it's cutting it, didn't it? Have to get in your way. Yeah, I've got me a nice slit in there. All right. Feeding it really slow simply because I'm not real familiar with using the slitting saw in this manner. This ought to take it back off a little bit so it's not cutting. I have to get in your way again. Make sure my saw blade doesn't punch through completely to this side and start cutting over here. Where is it? Oh, right there. So we're going to have to do come in from this side and finish that cut. But I can't back it out with it cutting because that would be, no, that'd be climb milling or climb cutting, and you're not supposed to do that with a slitting saw. So up here, lock everything back down, and make me a little cut right here. There we go. Using a slitting saw can be nerve-wracking for the uninitiated. And I've used one quite a few times, but I wouldn't say I'm an expert. That looked like it went pretty well. I want to know how deep that slit is before I take the setup down, before I tear the setup down. So how can I measure the length? I want to know how long it is. So how can I do that? This is a 0.028 inch width saw blade, and this is a 0.020 inch wide rule. So it ought to slip down into that slit. And it does. And I've got that's about a 1 1/16 exactly. So that's perfect for my needs. I wanted at least 1, and I got it. Now we'll move that back over to the lathe and park the sleeve. No, we won't. We're going to drill and tap it for a set screw right there. No, hold a minute. Set screw doesn't go in this. So this is what we've got. We've got a 0.1875 inch hole that's 1 inch and something deep, and we've got a slit along the side that's over 1 inch long. That's exactly what we wanted. I'm going to part the workpiece from the stock. We'll see how this Arthur R. Warner grooving tool stands up to this interrupted cut. I I like to use Arthur R. Warner high-speed steel inserts and other tools, well, grooving tool. I think I'll feed it, power feed it. Turning it at 70 RPM, power feeding it at 0.00168 inches per revolution. Pretty slow. I'm sure I could do it a lot faster. Well, faster anyway. This is fast enough for me. Go get a cup of coffee or something while I'm doing this. I say it ought to be getting close, it takes a lot longer, so I'm not going to say it ought to be getting close. There's our bushing. Took me a moment to figure out what I wanted to call it, didn't it? All right, I'll clean the end of it up with the lathe. I won't be able to, I'll clamp it. Oh, it doesn't make any difference. I'll clamp it as tight as I want to, because it's made to collapse. There we go. What you think? Slipped right in there. Looks great. Tighten the set screw down. Although I probably should turn it so the split actually works and does something, but you get the idea. Stick it in the main bearing. I like that. This makes me happy.